Ancient Village not included. Hello everyone, this is the LEGO Marvel Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings set called Battle at the Ancient Village. Build-wise, the set just has this long, slender dragon, and other than that, it's pretty much a minifig pack. That said, this dragon is pretty interesting in and of itself. It's kind of unique, it's very long and slender and has an interesting way that they posed it up. The way that they present it in this set also has what appears to be water just coming out of the mouth. That's done pretty decently well. Probably my favorite thing in this entire set is that piece there for the eye right in the center. It is actually opalescent or iridescent and has a nice little print on it. They have 3 of those included in the set in total, 2 to put onto this thing and then 1 spare. I also like what they did with these, what do you call those, wavy bits? Not quite hair, but it could be seen as like dragon hair, I suppose, coming off the back. It's just a nice piece, not the first time that they've used that part, but here in dark red, I think it just makes for an interesting effect. The whole thing is very flowy in its design. You will see, however, a ton, and I mean a ton, of little stickers all throughout. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on, but for now I'm going to focus on the build itself. This has interesting hands. I like the hands. I like the design there. Not too repetitive in the build. The arms are not impressive to look at, but they do have good articulation. We'll look at articulation for the entire model here in a minute after going through the overview. You can see that the whole thing is attached to a base here that represents some water. I believe it's intended to be kind of floating on top of that water or maybe splashing down after having leapt up and then coming back down, because this doesn't look like it has the ability to fly, but then again, magic exists, right? So maybe it is able to fly. I just don't know. We don't know much about this dragon on the whole just yet because Marvel has not let us know officially. However, we have seen from other toys that it is officially called the Great Protector. Thus, I do believe it is a good dragon. I believe it is on the side of the good guys in this. I don't know if it's going to show up in the official movie, or at least the first movie, in anything other than perhaps a flashback sequence or something like that. I don't know if it's going to be particularly core to anything. And I don't think LEGO knows either because, Marvel, part of Disney, they're pretty good at keeping their secrets, including from their merchandise producing partners. And sometimes we suffer as a result of that. Look at this, more stickers on the underside. What? Interesting though. I really like these pieces, and you can pose a figure on there because it has a couple of studs on top there, and you can put another figure over there on the opposite side. Now you are able to take all of this off the stand very easily, off the water base here, because that just uses a Technic pinhole, and there's a Technic pin that extends right from here, and that's built in to this section of the body, this center section of the body, which is actually upside down. You can see you've got anti-studs here. So this is built normally, and then when you attach it, just kind of the opposite of what you would expect. There's a little bit of weakness right here I've found. If you take this off the stand, you put it back, you play around with it a little bit, this tends to loosen up, strangely. I played around with this a bit to try to understand, yeah, there it goes, right there. Try to understand how this would be as a toy, as opposed to just as a display model, because it's really presented as something to have on display. But I want to see how this will work as a toy, because it's still ultimately intended to be more of a toy than a collector's item. So as a toy then, as far as articulation is concerned and all that, and playing with it, it's a serpent-like thing. You can put it on the ground. These arms / legs, I guess, don't really hold any weight, so you can use them more to just provide a little bit of stability as outriggers. You want to have this on the ground. If it's not on the ground, it's not going to have good support to things. Of course, you can bring the head up like that. That's fine. There's hardly any weight there. You can bring the tail up. You can do like this. That's fine. But when it comes to posing it off the stand and wanting to do different things with it, using the legs, no, there's just not enough strength there by design. It's just how it was designed. They wanted to have these arms and legs, whatever you want to call them, small. Okay? So this is intended, I believe, to be more of a magical thing in that sense, or at least a water-based thing. As you go, though, you expect this to do like this, right? Something like that. something like that. It's a little bit awkward to do all that flowing sort of motion. And again, already I can see that this is starting to come apart. So it's, yep, there it is, so close. So that is not good design-wise for a toy. But here's something that bugs me just a little bit more as I put this back together. It does not have much other articulation, the ability to turn things. So you can turn right there, and then I can turn the head this way a little bit awkwardly. Turn it that way, but there's no ability to turn here. There's no ability to turn here. It's a single dimensional joint, as is this. This one can be turned, but how useful is that? Not much. You still can only angle on one axis. Back here, you can move these around, so that's cool and all. But overall, just playing around with this, I found this to not be a good toy. Just simply put, you can put it into some cool looking poses for what it is. And it is rather long. Like you extend it out like this, you really see just how much is here. It does it no justice when it's on the stand and all folded up. You really can see the value here, I think, a lot better when it's not in its most minimal form. So this is cool and all, but as a toy, it's kind of not. It's more for display in that sense. And then you do most of your play with the figures. Speaking of which, let's look at those. These are the good ones. So Shang-Chi is there on the left, the main character of it all, not receiving, interestingly, a unique headpiece. So that was unexpected. On the right is Xia Ling, his sister. So these are the two siblings. The body prints are great. The torso prints are fantastic. There's so much detail in there. Nice texturing. They are produced well. It's crisp. There's depth. There's fine detail. Overall shaping comes across very nicely. Happy about a lot of that. But that is it. You know, would have been nice to get a little bit of something subtle on the arms, at least for Shang-Chi. I mean, if at least Shang-Chi got a unique head, unique set of face prints. Sorry, got a little dust on there. It looks like that's actually not a piece of dust there in the center there. That's an expression mark, but yeah, there's another little piece of dust. Anyway, I think these are fine though. I think that these expressions look good, and here they are just framed up with those same hair pieces. It just would have been nice to get something new and unique and special for the main character. In contrast, Wenwu here on the left, aka the Mandarin, the main baddie, at least so we think, the father of the other two, also uses a generic headpiece, but this one bothers me because it's so generic and so recognizable as, well, I mean, it's either Lex Luthor or it's just a generic Lego bad guy face, and it doesn't look right to me at all. This one doesn't look appropriate. Like the other one, the one that was used for Shang-Chi, I think at least looked enough like a Legoification of the actor. This one, in this case, does not. Once again, the torso print is fantastic. On the right is the Death Dealer, or Death Dealer Incarnate. The prints on that one are just so subtle. Black on dark blue is difficult to see. The prints are nice, but just so subtle. It's hard to even really appreciate them unless the light hits the whole thing just right, compared to over here on the left, Wenwu gets a fantastic printing all the way through, from the top of the torso down to literally the toes. Now, I will point out one thing right here. This face print is like cyan. It's supposed to be white. It's cyan because it's not opaque enough. However, at least there is no actual plastic white on this figure, so it doesn't stand out too much, and it just feels like the entire thing is lacking in contrast, you know, from head to toe. No alternate face. We're already familiar with that. The size are gunmetal gray, and then the 5 rings here, 5 out of the 10, look fantastic. That's a really, really nice build for those. With, again, an exception. If you look closely, if you look carefully, you'll notice that the colors are not the same. They're all supposed to be the same, and they're not. They're supposed to be the same because they're supposed to be the exact same piece from Lego. They have the same part number. They're intended to all look the same, and they don't. They range from almost silver down here, like a platinum color, up to almost a fake gold look here where it's a little bit too dark, a little bit too saturated, and then comes back to almost silver for that top one. And that's unfortunate because those pieces should be consistent, but what happens is the chrome coating, the chrome look coating is silver, and then they use a dye over the top of that. It's a transparent yellow to get the gold color, and they just don't put that second layer on consistently. This has been a problem for many, many years. I haven't seen the problem this bad in quite a long time, but it's back. Last up, this tiny creature here, which is just a single mold all done in tan, is called Morris. It's a named character called Morris. Don't know exactly what it is. It's supposed to be a mythological creature of some sort, winged, obviously, with 6 legs and no face. It's not supposed to have a print on it. It's not supposed to have a face, at least. It may have eyes underneath there, or it just may, sense things magically. But if it does have eyes, they are completely covered by fur. So I think that Lego has actually done a pretty good job with this, and it did not need to have articulation or anything. Now, I appreciate, just the fact that they did a new mold for this rather than trying to do something as an oversized brick build that would have looked like a Creator 3-in-1 minifig scaled bird and would have been oversized and not looked good enough. Like, this is nice. I'm happy with this. The leftovers include some unused water blast and splat pack parts over here. Always nice to get. I like those collections of parts in general, no matter what color they give them to us in. And then another one of these is nice as a spare. That's nice. That's nice. Like, there's a lot of nice stuff here, but certainly by far the nicest is that extra eyepiece from the dragon. Again, opalescent, so you can see that a little bit better here. You can see the iridescence. But now, check this out. A 400-piece set has this many stickers. That many stickers. And most of them you can barely even notice because it's like just dark red against dark red. They had a little bit of dragon scale, some of them are against the white, but just this number of stickers felt rather excessive. And I'm not even that hard on stickers usually, but this felt rather excessive and didn't add that much visual texture to the thing, didn't elevate the build in my opinion. So some of these things that are repeated especially would have been really nice to get as prints, then I would have respected it a lot more. Otherwise, if you don't like those, you can easily leave them off and you're hardly missing anything. So then, let's talk about price and value. I paid $40 US for this set that comes with 400 pieces. Price to part ratio is perfect. It does come with a lot of small pieces, but most of them are average size, I'd say. And for this number of figures, just on paper, the value looks respectable there. At first, when I had this posed up just like this in its official proper form, I thought, this doesn't really feel like $40 worth of Lego to me compared to just other Lego stuff that I feel is valued well. However, once I did this, spread it out a little bit, got to really see how much stuff is here, how much Lego stuff is here. It made a lot more sense to me, that price. And now, like I said, after spending some time with it, playing around with it, really seeing it in front of me here, I'm okay with the price. Cheaper is always better, but for 4 figures there and the extra new little animal and all of this, I'm okay with the price. It's interesting, the item that you get here, the main item that you get here, looks like it wouldn't be in this box. For once, they use a box that is possibly a little too small, a little undersized there. However, this is not a good toy. It's really, really not a good toy. As something to just display, whether you're into the Marvel universe or not, whether you're into this arc of story, if you like the look of it, obviously, then it's good for you. If you're into ancient Chinese mythology, it's a beautiful dragon. Special, unique, different, displays well, I think, for what it is. And again, different. The stickers, I already talked about that. I'm not going to talk about the stickers anymore. But as a toy, it is a failure. I hate to say that, but it is a failure. It is absolutely a failure. It comes apart. It breaks on its own too easily, far too easily. Doesn't pose well at all. Doesn't play the ways that you want it to play. So, okay, it's got the jaw that can open, and you can remove, the water spout from it, and then that can bite things, can grab things, but you want to be able to move left and right, not just up and down. For something of this size and of this cost, you want more out of it. I want more out of it as a toy. As a display item, it's fine, but I've got that ability to turn the head that way so it can be looking at you. That's really all you need, I think. You can turn this a little bit. It's not as important. Being able to move the arms around, those are fine with the claws and everything. That's all good. The water base is nice. These things, I didn't even talk about that. They can be kind of flared out. So from the perspective of a collector and someone who's going to have this on display, I think it's fine. But it's not intended to be a collector's item. It's intended to be primarily a toy, as with all or almost all Lego things, and thus can't say it was done well. And the figures with two of the main characters not having unique head prints, it feels like a major miss here. I understand that Lego didn't want to invest too much into this, being that it's not like Avengers, at least not yet. It's a risk to put money into new franchises or new parts of franchises, given that this is going not after the comic market, but rather the cinematic universe market. So I get that, but they should have done a little bit more here. Print on that one just barely gets by. It shouldn't, but I'm going to let it by. The differences in colors between the rings, that's a quality control issue. Not happy with that. This could have been better. But if you like what you see, you're not interested in playing with it, then I don't need to tell you anything, right? I think it looks pretty on... There you go. I think it looks pretty on display, and I personally am going to keep it for the parts. There are a lot of parts here that I like a lot, and I want to use. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. I did a live build for this one on this channel. You can go back and see that if you want to see it in real time, but it does have music in the background, and I am talking a lot because I'm interacting with the chat. It was a very good session. I appreciated that. But hope that I showed you everything you wanted to see here. Maybe you can come to your own conclusion. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.